Hello, everybody, and welcome to season 4, episode 87 of the Happy, Healthy, and Healing podcast. My name is Stacey, and I'm your host. And how exciting is this? I have my first YouTube podcast going live. And so, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and you can see my beautiful face each week. I am super excited to be back for 2026. Truth be told, I actually wasn't planning on coming back until February. And though the last week it's been, I'm like, oh, I really wanted to get recording and keep delivering these episodes for you guys. So my intention for 2026 is to keep bringing the value, keep bringing real life things that you can implement, interviews, all the things to you guys, because I know how noisy it can be. And today's episode, I feel, is like super fitting to start the year with, because there is this quiet pressure that women have almost failed and the year is only starting. As I record this, it is the 6th of January, and I have had so many women say to me, Stacey, I feel like I'm behind already, or I haven't done that goal setting thing you sent me, or I haven't done the visualization process. You are not behind. And so we're going to get into that today. For those of you that are new here, welcome. I have created this podcast and I started it a couple of years ago. And to be honest, the whole first season was a lot about my journey and moving through the motions into becoming a women's mindset and life coach and helping women with their lives, their businesses, their careers, identity transitions, whether they're going through divorce or hitting their 40s, whatever it is. You know, I help women in these life stages, and that's what I'm super passionate about. And that's where this podcast, I feel like if you've been here from the start, you will have noticed that shift in myself. Bringing actually my lived experience to you guys is what I believe truly makes this podcast different, is that I've been there in the trenches and I still navigate the things. Like if anyone tells you that they've got their life sorted out, run far away, because honestly, we are all still figuring it out as we go. And I want to bring that to you guys so that each week you can feel a little bit less alone. You can take these tips, you can start to implement things in real life, because social media, YouTube, we have access to so much information these days, and it actually is super noisy and it feels overwhelming and it can create those anxious feelings. And it's like you actually need to follow and take on those small steps day by day. It all compounds. You're not magically going to become a new person in 2026 just because the calendar flips over or just because it's another Monday or a new month. We need to focus on shifting our identity by replacing those behaviors, those habits, those thought patterns, those feelings with the new things of who we want to be and where we want to go in our life and the goals we want to achieve. That's how real change is going to happen. So that's what this year is going to be about. I am going to have a lot more guests, which I'm super excited. I am going to give YouTube a crack. So please, as I said, hit subscribe. Right now, my only subscriber is my son, Bailey. Thanks, buddy. Love you. All right, so let's get into it. So at the start of every episode, I do a little life update, and sometimes it's a little bit longer update. Wow, what a whirlwind Christmas was for us. So we actually took off here, I think the 22nd, 6 a.m., hit the road, drove down to Newcastle, stayed at Newcastle for one night, and then got to Melbourne on Sunday night. And, you know, the kids were absolute troopers. So the trip down was really great. And then we spent 7 days in Melbourne, and it was literally, there was no rest. It was just full of, you know, visiting people, catching up. You know, we went to our container, picked up a few things from there. It was a whirlwind. And though I'm so glad that we went, because a week before we left, I was like, are we going to go? Are we not? Is it worth it? How will the kids go? We have to get a dog sitter, blah, blah, blah. It feels like so much effort. And though actually going and seeing everyone, you know, it was great to see everyone. It filled my cup. It really, we spent quality time with people, which is something that when we lived in Melbourne, I don't feel like we did. You know, I've had more quality time with my family since we've been traveling than I did when we lived an hour and a bit away. So it was really lovely. And I just I left there feeling like my cup was so full from having that connection time with them, which I think is important. And I think a lot of people, and I know myself in the past, we forget about that at Christmas. Like Christmas isn't just about the presents and the parties and things like that. It's actually about that connection. And that's what I really received this year. When we got there, it was like an emotional roller coaster of questioning, should we be up here? Should we have moved? Should we have done these things? And I was putting all this pressure on myself. Going back there actually reminded me that, yes, this is home for now, and it may not be forever, and that's okay. And right now I'm living a life that I once dreamed of. You know, literally 2019, we came here and I sat on Noosa Beach and I was like, I really want to live here. And I had a moment at the beach on the weekend that I was like, oh my God, I've done it. Like, I know I've said that before. However, like it just hit me on a whole nother level. And I was so grateful. And it was a great reminder also that sometimes we've actually just got to release that control and just keep focusing on those small steps. So, taking my own advice. And, how we arrived here is not how I thought we would. I never thought I'd travel Australia ever. I'm a bit of a princess when it comes to camping. And though we're here and I'm actually living it. And it's instead of worrying about the next 10 years or what that looks like, what about if I just get to be present here right now? And I felt so much gratitude just literally sitting on the beach, talking to a random woman, watching the kids play, go for a swim. I was like, we've done it. Wow. And I'm not sure if you've ever had that much gratitude fill your body, like a side tangent, of course. Welcome. I used to think gratitude was just a little bit full of shit. Like, if I'm really honest, like I used to go, oh yeah, I'm grateful for my coffee. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. And there's a difference between actually saying you're grateful and actually feeling it. Like when I feel that gratitude now, like sitting on the beach, I just wanted to cry because I was so happy. I was so grateful that I'm here. And that doesn't mean that I don't have big dreams or goals or life stresses or anything like that. No, of course I do. I'm human. And I get to feel both. Like I get to feel the gratitude for being here in this present moment, right here, right now. And I get to have big dreams and goals and push myself and go, I'm feeling anxious today. This is what I need to do to move it. I'm feeling frustrated today. This is what I need to do to move it. A big thing I want to bring to the podcast this year is more and more on emotional intelligence, because I truly believe that that is one of the keys. I mean, as well as nervous system regulation and working through all those beliefs and stories and emotions that we hold, emotional intelligence actually improves your happiness in life. It teaches you the tools to move through things quickly, to not get stuck in the shit. Yes, you can feel sad, mad, angry, frustrated. You can be pissed off with the world, and you're not going to stay there stuck or let it self-sabotage you out of what you're doing. You can move through things quickly and easily and feel more fulfilled and happy. And that is the ultimate goal of life. It is happiness. And happiness you're not going to find from people telling you you've done a good job, from buying a Ferrari, from going on fancy holidays. Sure, they feel great. Long-term fulfillment and happiness starts from within. And that's what I really want to bring as well this year. So yeah, Christmas was a whirlwind for us. Got home in time for New Year's, and then was Bailey's 17th birthday. Like, I do not feel old enough to have a 17-year-old. I was pregnant at 18, so obviously that's not normal for a lot of people. They're generally having kids later in life. And so it's just, again, I feel so much gratitude having him older and having the younger ones that I can experience life and motherhood again and reduce that pressure. I've had a couple of conversations this week already with clients about taking that pressure off themselves. And I have so much in store this year. I have all these content, all these ideas, all these things I want to do. And I'm like, how do I make it all fit? And I'm like, of course you can, Stacey. You just make it work. Okay, big things happening this year. And I'm really excited. And January for me, my intention is to ground a little bit more. Like, I've started decluttering the house after Christmas and rearranging things, setting up my office, doing bits and pieces I want to create solid foundations, because I know that big things are happening this year. And I know within personal life, within business, I need to, create that next level of stability and the foundations in my life so I can keep building on it. We think about building a house. Like, if you don't get the slab right, the house isn't going to be right. If you don't get your home, your business, if you don't get your mindset right, then everything else will crumble around it. Let's get into it. So today's episode, I want to speak into the new year, new me pressure that is quietly holding women back. And this is a big one. And as I said, I've already had clients messaging me this, and I'm like, whoa, just take a breath. So if that is you, take a breath, okay? You are not behind. You're not failing. You haven't ruined your whole year. It is only the 6th of January or whenever you listen to this episode. So I see the same pattern happen every single year with so many women. It's like it gets to Christmas, it gets to New Year, and the calendar, flips forward, and they magically think that they're going to be a new person, or they're going to have their whole life shifted as soon as the calendar changes, and then they start to put pressure on themselves that they haven't got their whole life mapped out perfectly. They, don't know how they're going to get from A to Z this year. What direction am I going in? Who am I? What am I even doing with my life? With so many questions. And they go on this deep spiral and creates lots of overwhelm and overthinking and stress and anxious feelings because they're like, oh my God, I don't have it all mapped out. And everyone else, particularly on social media, has it mapped out. They've got their clear direction. They know what they're doing. And that must mean that I'm a failure. So what's happening is that pressure they're putting on themselves, it's actually taking them further away from feeling clear, right? Because it's bringing this underlying tone that they're a failure. And women actually, how many times a day women feel like failure already? Like, oh, I'm failing as a mum. I'm not as present as I want to be. Oh my God, I yelled at my kids. I'm a failure. Oh my gosh, I stuffed up this dinner. I'm a failure. Oh my gosh, I didn't do this at work. I'm a failure. There is this underlying failure tone that already exists for so many women. Failure or feeling not good enough or feeling not capable or feeling like people are better than them. It's all underlying failure, which then creates shame. And then you get to this new year. So you've spent your whole year feeling somewhat like a failure or feeling ashamed of yourself or like you should be better at something or putting this unrealistic pressure on yourself. And then you get to the new year and it amplifies 10x. So this is where I think the whole new year, new me thing actually needs to take a back seat. Like you don't need to become someone new this year. You just need to become a better version of you. And now that may sound a little bit harsh, right? Because you're like, oh, Stacey, I'm trying to be better all the time. It's like, yes, I see you. And I want you to stop setting these unrealistic goals or pressure on yourself and actually wind it all back. Like, what if you had to pick out of all of your areas of life? So, your health and fitness, your mindset, your career, or your business, or your finances, your relationships. If you had to pick one thing that you wanted to shift this year, what would that be? What would be the one thing? All right. So if you've got a business and you're like, all right, I want to make 20K months consistently. Let's start to break that down. Like you don't need to become a whole new person with a 20-step morning routine to actually achieve your goals. We need to focus on your daily thought patterns, your habits, your behaviors, the things that are driving you 90% of the time that you're not actually aware of. We need to go deeper into that. Because if we're not going into that, we're going to keep repeating the same old patterns year in and year out. So if we dive a little bit deeper into that I'm behind feeling, the women who are saying, oh, Stacey, I haven't set my goals yet. Oh, Stacey, I feel like I'm already behind. I haven't done my vision board, which, vision boards, if you've seen my Instagram, like how many women create a vision board and never look at it again? Like, honestly, I've got a 3-minute process. Send me a DM. I'll send it to you for free because that 3-minute process, if you can do that every single day and connect into your vision, that's going to have much more of an impact than a pretty vision board. If we look at this feeling behind pressure that women are putting on themselves, it's not coming from women who are lazy or unmotivated or anything like that. It often comes from successful women, who are maybe they're in business or in a corporate career, even stay-at-home mums, managing the household and the mental load. Or the women who just simply like they're overthinking and constantly thinking 10 steps ahead. I've got to do this, to do this, to do this. And then I can, spend 5 minutes on myself. This whole, new year, new me thing that we're sold is coming from a place, as I said, of failure and the undertone of shame, right? And where does that come from? Is this comparison of timelines of going, oh my God, I saw someone on Instagram. She's got 100,000 followers. She must be more successful from me. And we create these stories in our mind. And it's like you're comparing yourself when you know nothing about these people. Like even some of your closest friends, I'm going to say that you don't know exactly what's going on in their life. And yet you're still comparing yourself to them. Like they may be in a chapter 100 in their life and their business, and you're in a chapter 1. And you're comparing yourself thinking it's apples for apples. And it's so with the idea that, January 1 is a clean slate and I'm going to absolutely change every single little thing in my life. Like I'm going to become a marathon runner. I'm going to manifest a Ferrari. I'm going to lose 20 kilos in a week, right? People create these expectations because they think it's a clean slate. However, what they fail to realize is clarity or your results or your goals, they don't happen overnight. Your mind doesn't magically reset overnight. Your patterns don't disappear just because it's New Year's Day. They may temporary, like if we're talking about health and fitness, by day 3, 80% of people have already failed their New Year's resolutions. And then by the end of Jan, most people have said to themselves, I'll wait till after Easter. That's like 3 months away. So when women are trying to force that clarity in their life, they start to rush into things. They start to feel like they need to burn their life down to the ground. They start to like, maybe it's copying what the Joneses are doing. And then they start to doubt themselves and their direction and where they're going and start that whole overthinking and self-doubt process. And this is where that whole I'm behind phase actually begins. So then if we go a little bit deeper, what you're really telling yourself is that who you were last year wasn't good enough. Whether you tell yourself that consciously or unconsciously, that message actually cuts really deep for a lot of women because you're already putting a lot of pressure on yourself. You already expect a lot from yourself. You have so much stacked on yourself that how could you possibly stack any more this year and achieve it? So then what happens? So many women start to question themselves and go, what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. And if you don't have that hit of inspiration as soon as January hits, then that will load up even again. What's wrong with me? Why am I feeling unmotivated already? And then from there, it can be a slippery slope into self-sabotage because they'll start to put themselves into the pit, create all these negative stories, start to really bash themselves up with their words and, make themselves feel like they're worthless. So then maybe they stay in the pit, they'll stay there for a week or two, and then they'll finally get up and be like, right, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to push more. I'm going to go harder. I'm going to get the planner. I'm going to color in my checklist every single day. I'm going to do all these things right here, right now. And though what they're doing is setting themselves up for failure, a new identity, a new woman, a new you isn't built by making massive radical changes. It's actually changing the small things day in, day out. Because you spend 80% or 90% of your life on a journey. Like we only spend 10% of our life actually at the goal and achieving the goal. And so even if you do set all these new intentions and you completely change your life this year and you get to the end point, I'm going to bet my bottom dollar that when you achieve your goal, you're actually not going to feel fulfilled because then the goalpost will move again and you're going to put more pressure on yourself. I should be doing more. And there's a point though that what are you actually doing to yourself? Because the harder we push ourselves, the more we put ourselves down, the more we tell ourselves we've got to go and be this perfect, unachievable person, the more clarity is actually going to disappear because those goalposts will keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I feel like women get to a point maybe in their 40s or 50s or even 60s and they're like, what the hell have I done with my life? I haven't been present for my kids. My kids are grown up. They start going through hormonal shifts like perimenopause and menopause. Maybe they're going through divorce or, maybe they're having this midlife crisis. And it's like, whoa, this didn't just happen overnight. This is a compound effect of how many years of setting yourself these unrealistic expectations from, fear of judgment, from fear of failure, from having this failure and shame undertone. And all the other beliefs and stories that women hold about themselves. This compounds from when we're little girls. This compounds throughout our whole life. And so if you're listening to this and maybe you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s or 50s and it hasn't hit you yet, I'm telling you it's coming unless you actually make a change, right? And that starts with you. So instead of the new year, new me this year, I'd encourage you to actually sit down. And if you need a template, I have one. Grab a wheel of life off Google and look at the different areas of your life and go, okay, my finances, my health, my relationships, my fun, my parenting. Look at all those different areas of life. Look at where you are now and actually be real about it. What are the things you're not enjoying about your life? What are the things you want to change? Then get another one and print it off and be like, right, my ideal version of myself, my highest version of myself, my dream persona. What are the qualities they've got in their life? And start to bridge the gap between them because change isn't just going to happen overnight. We need to start looking at the nitty gritty to start the process of shifting out the shit, so to speak, and refilling with the new person that you are, the identity that you want to hold, your beliefs, your values, your passions, everything that you want to become. Because it's not a process of just achieving the thing. It's actually a process of becoming and becoming that version of you. If you look at who you were 5 years ago, I'm going to guarantee that you're a completely different person right now. And that means that you get to create a new person in the next 5 or 10 years, or even the next 5 months. Real change doesn't have to take forever. Real change can happen quickly. I look back at everything I've achieved in the last few years. I'm a completely different person. However, it resulted of me constantly pushing my boundary, pushing the edges. Okay, this is where I want to be. What do I need to shift? How do I do it? I just feel like it's this simultaneous process of working through the things that hold you back and refilling your cup as that new identity, and then building the evidence that you are that new person. It actually takes action. This is why, like, I think vision boards don't work for a lot of people because they can't actually connect with that version of them who can achieve those goals. The vision boards are nice to look at. However, it's more important to actually feel the feelings. And that's why I created that 3-minute process that I've used the last few years. And look where it's brought me. It's like we sold our house for above market. I got to do my travel life. This worked way back when I called in my relationship with Jared, and I just didn't realize what I was doing, to be honest. I just thought that everyone does it, and it's clearly not. Those that have actually downloaded are like, oh my gosh, I've never thought to do this. And this is the power, connecting into ourselves, to working on ourselves, doing that inner work, to releasing things that no longer serve us, where a lot of women are living in past chapters of their life and holding on to these things and not forgiving themselves for their mistakes or their failures or whatever it is. And it's like, you need to let go of all of those chapters to actually move forward. So actually, are you going to do that this year? Or are we going to be having this same conversation January next year? I sure as hell don't want to. So if this is really resonating with you and you're feeling that stuck feeling, I want you to know it's okay. Like, you haven't failed, you haven't done anything wrong. It's very common and it's not normal though. You're not incapable. You're just operating from past belief systems, from past operating systems. Like, think about how many times we upgrade our phones or our computers and do updates, and we don't do the same thing for our mindset. So you're probably running on a Windows 95, if you're old enough, program. And it's like, that's not going to help you carry forward. So what you've done in the past has created a protective response. And so it's carried you to here. It's not to shame that part of you. Like, it's done its job. And though I know a lot of women are like, no, enough is enough. There's a line in the sand now. And it's time to start working through that protective response. So showing the gratitude, thank you for bringing me to here. And it's safe to let it go. It's safe to move forward because, humans don't like pushing outside their comfort zones. Like, I think the stat is like, literally, we only like being pushed 5%. That's where those little steps are going to come in, pushing you, following the breadcrumbs, taking the nudges to move forward in your life. From what's created by following those breadcrumbs is actually a form of self-leadership, that you don't need anyone else to change your life. Yes, I'm a big believer in having a coach to help you along those steps, because you can go so far on your own, and you can go further with someone who's actually been in your shoes before, or who's continuing to push the boundaries of growth. And this is why your environment is so important to, you can't grow flowers in shit soil. Okay. So your environment is super important. Who's in your proximity? Who's got access to your energy? Like, it is so important to have people in your corner. And if you need a coach to do that because you don't have friends that are doing that, then that's okay. Like, I know that's where I've been, is that I've needed to invest in myself and invest in coaches to actually keep pushing me when, in the times that I felt uncertain, in the times that I was like, oh no, I want to go back to safety. It's like, no, Stacey, you can do it. You've got this. Let's go. So what we want to build though is this resilience, or this self-leadership. And the self-leadership for me is actually knowing how to regulate yourself. It's knowing what your goals and your dreams are. It's recognizing when you're avoiding things or rushing things. Self-leadership is being able to respond instead of react. It's being able to set those small measurable goals, knowing that each breadcrumb is going to take you closer to achieving your most fulfilled life. It's learning how to trust yourself and quieten that self-doubt and overwhelm. And women who can do this, they're the women that change their life. When women can actually nail these basics and work through these things, decisions become easier. Their emotions become more regulated. Their confidence returns. Their follow through continues. They get out of that pit that they've been in maybe for a really long time. And so when I work with women, yes, at the start, I ask them their goals and their dreams and their desires. However, I ask them that so we can work out the gap between who they are now and where they need to grow to become that woman that achieves their goals. So if this podcast has hit you home and you're like, Stacey, yes, that's me, I urge you to consider joining my January reset. We start next week, and this is not just some hype up motivation program. It's actually a program for women who want to set themselves up for success in 2026. They want to have more clarity. They want to feel calmer, actually have a clear plan and direction to move forward for the next 12 months. They want to draw that line in the sand and say, no more. I am no longer here to repeat cycles of the past. I am here to actually move forward, and I need help. And that's what it's for, because I know firsthand, I spent so many years setting these big goals and I'd never achieve them and feeling like a failure all the time. And this program is exactly what I needed. It's a supportive space to actually move forward and have your best year yet. So if you're ready to start 2026 more intentional and focused, send me a DM. It's only $97. It's a self-paced program with optional weekly calls. It is not going to just be another thing that you do for a minute and then no longer look at again. This is actually going to be the thing that sets you up for the whole year. And you get to keep the tools and frameworks that you get to come back to this anytime you want. These simple principles and tools and systems are going to be there for your whole lifetime. So if this feels true to you and you need that support, please send me a DM. Let's chat more about the January reset. And if you take one thing from today's episode, I want it to be that you're not behind, you're not failing, you don't need to feel ashamed that you haven't got your whole life mapped out because it's the 5th of January. It is okay. Take a breath and just focus on getting super clear on what you want or where you are in life and where you want to be, and start to map out those steps in between. It gets to be a simple process. You get to start slowly and intentionally if you want to, and you get to build momentum at your pace. And that is going to be the key this year for you. So if this episode resonated, please share it with a friend. Please rate it 5 stars. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I am so excited for 2026, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.